Let's see. Pre-show. Oh, the pre-show is self-driving, Daniel.
The pre-show is self-driving. Does that mean we don't have to do anything?
No.
Oh.
No.
Man, I got kind of hopeful there for a moment.
We can talk about how you self-drove a boat.
We could. It's kind of related, isn't it?
You're just real good at not driving things. You're just super good.
Very good at not driving things.
Super good at not driving things. Yep. How's your experience with full self-driving going?
It's pretty good. So, when I have a Tesla Model 3, and when I bought it, you could get full self-driving for like $10,000.
Yikes. No, thank you.
Option on the price of the car. I did not do that.
It's more of an investment.
Yeah. Because I've had the car since 2021. And back then, despite it being called full self-driving, it was not very good.
No. It's glorified. It's lane assist.
Exactly. Yeah. But they've been improving it over time. And most of those upgrades have come to my car. There's some newer ones that you need a newer year model to get. But most of it has come to my car. And they also made that subscription $100 a month, as a subscription. So you can start it and cancel it at any time. And that's cheap enough that, if you're doing a lot of driving, it makes sense. And so I've been doing more highway driving lately, and so I got it, and it is really, really impressive. So my car had the what they called autopilot, which was basically cruise control and lane keep, and I used that on one trip, and then I got full self driving for the next trip, and I'm really impressed. I mean, especially on the highway, it handles everything perfectly. Like, it can keep distance, with the cars in front of you, change lanes. To pass people and stuff. It stops at red lights. If it sees somebody pulled over on the side of the road, if it can safely do it, it will try to get over, into the other lane. Everything it does, I feel like, is on par with what I would do if I was driving, which was a lot better than I expected.
You just drive like a robot.
Yeah, basically.
Beep boop.
I took it, I was in Houston, which is a big city, and it does really well with knowing when to take exits and merging into lanes with a lot of traffic. It handled rush hour traffic in Houston, which is, more than I expected. So I think self-driving is closer than we thought it would be. It really feels like it's getting there.
Yeah. All the talk has been, hey, it's going to get stuck at 99% for, 10 years, 20 years and never quite get there. But it seems like all of a sudden with the Waymo and the Tesla stuff, finally we're getting to the point where you can just let it do its thing.
I think so.
I feel like it's a, man shakes fist at cloud situation for me and self-driving. I don't know. I think I'm going to end up being one of those people. It's I don't know. I just don't trust it.
Well, I think that right now, I think that if you just turned it on and went to sleep, I definitely think that would be more dangerous than a person driving. But I think that if you're paying attention, which it watches your eyes to make sure that you're looking at the road. That's not to say you can't still zone out, but if you're paying attention and you have it enabled, I think that's probably safer than you driving by yourself in most cases.
Wild.
Maybe not everything, right? Because it can still do things you don't expect, and all that. But I know I've had some times where I've been driving and, it's getting late and I'm a little tired. And it just feels like a good extra safety net where it's hey, if I start dropping off to sleep or something and close my eyes, it's going to notice that and stop. But also it's paying attention and doing things, and that's taking some mental load off of me. And that feels like it helps.
Do you feel like in some way both you and the car are driving, and so it's not so much that you're driving or the car's driving, it's you as a team are driving. Now there's a safety net that if the car screws up, you catch it, and if you screw up, the car catches it.
You're kind of making a joke, I think, but it does sort of feel that way, and you do kind of have to babysit it a little bit. The thing I've noticed is speed wise, like speed limits and stuff, I feel like I have to kind of monitor that because it'll tell you what its max speed is. And sometimes I can look at the traffic around and say I kind of think we should be going faster than that. So I'll adjust it. You can change the personality of it. They have chill, standard, and hurry. And that kind of affects how quickly it accelerates, how often it changes lanes, stuff like that. And so it's depending on the conditions, you might change that to, just depending on what it's doing. So honestly, there is a little bit of that where it feels like you're kind of, like you said, kind of working with the car to do it. It's I have some jobs and it has some jobs, and we
and together we'll get to point B.
But I don't know. I'm just really impressed with it. I think that we're not that far off from, at least like on the highway. I think city street driving is different. And like for me, I don't really have a whole lot of interest in it doing that. Like I don't mind driving, like when I'm navigating around and stuff, but like when it's just that monotonous highway stuff, it really does feel like it makes things easier.
All right. Well, not too bad.
I'll have to let you try it sometime.
By try, do you mean like I'll just be there while the car drives? Because I mean, it just seems like riding in a car. Yeah, like no difference.
Yeah. I think it takes it takes a little bit to get used to it at first. Like when you first enable it, you got your hands on the wheel and you're like, I'm like ready to take over, and I still have some times where if there's a lot of traffic, I've got my hand kind of like hovering right there, in case I need to grab it. But at least for me, surprisingly quickly, I got to where I was trusting it. Like, I guess you just see it make good decisions, and you kind of realize like, okay, this isn't like, it's not reckless, and so it gets easier to trust.
Just let go, let Elon.
Yeah. I want to be able to enable it by yelling, Elon, take the wheel. They haven't added that feature yet.
Soon.
Yes. Welcome back to the Camera Gear Podcast. I'm Daniel.
And I'm Lucas.
And we're here today to talk about the gear, software, and techniques we use to shoot photos and video.
I was going to dive into this ZR Cine D testing here, but I'm like in the process of moving, and the internet at the new place is 20 times? 200 times? 20 times. It's like 20 times slower than my current internet.
Yeah.
And it's
pretty slow.
Makes me really sad. Yeah.
Does that make you, is that related to these, like, are you having a hard time watching YouTube videos, or you just want to talk about your internet?
No, everything seems fine. I just was looking at this, and then I was despondent for a second about how slow my internet is.
What kind of speed are we talking about?
Right now I'm getting like between 30 and 40 megabit per second.
Bad. I had, for a while, I got mad at my cable provider because they kept raising the price by $10 a year for no reason, as they do. And I was so mad that I, like, on the principle of the matter, I switched to AT&T DSL, which is all they had in my area. And luckily for me, it was like the dual line DSL or something, where it's 50 megabit. And so, I mean, for over a year, I had 50 megabit internet, and I survived.
It's fine. It's fine.
Yeah.
I am paying for 100. And so I gotta like talk to them. It's point to point, so like they gotta adjust the points, or I'll just change plans to something cheaper. Because
what's the upload?
It's almost symmetrical. It's like I think that they're fiber at the base, and so I'm like 37 down, but it's like 35 up.
That's still that's going to be rough for uploading big videos and stuff. And like that was always the problem with cable, is that cable will give you a really good download speed. Like at one point I had like gig cable, but the upload was still like 20 megs.
Yeah, I've had fiber for the last like 2 years ish, and whew, man, that symmetrical Google Fiber is delicious.
Yep. I have it now too with through AT&T, and the upload has honestly been really good for doing like photo and video editing, because I mean it's just the speed at which you can upload like an entire video is just totally
crazy.
It.
Oh boy.
Yeah. So what are you gonna do? You gonna keep that service? You can get Starlink?
I'm gonna try Starlink sooner than later. Starlink's website was down today, so I couldn't.
A lot of stuff on the internet was down today. There was a Cloudflare outage.
Oh, freaking Cloudflare, man.
Yep.
I hate
it seems like a lot of internet infrastructure has been struggling lately.
There's built on toothpicks.
Yeah, there's an AWS outage recently, and then Azure's had some problems, and Cloudflare. It's just like all these services.
Bugs in that one line of COBOL code that one guy can fix.
Yeah, I don't know.
Anyway, Daniel, this is a Camera Gear podcast. Stop. Just
why are we talking about self-driving cars?
We got a lot of things to get through. Yeah. Okay, this is the post-travel episode, and people are like dying to know how the Caddo trip went.
You know what's funny is about a year ago, like almost exactly a year ago, we did an episode on photography around water, because that was when we went to Caddo last year. And it's funny because I mean it's very close to being like exactly a year, and here we are with like I would say like a super version of that.
A lot more. How do you take pictures around water? Talk. Yep. But first, Cine D put out their dynamic range and other testing for the Nikon ZR, which everyone has been very excited about.
Yeah.
And the results are pretty much exactly like we anticipated.
Really?
Rolling shutter is in that 9.4 millisecond range. If you shoot in the line skip 1080p, it's about 6 something. So really quick, as anticipated, just like the Nikon Z6 Mark III.
Sure.
Also similar to Nikon Z6 Mark III, the dynamic range is mediocre.
Yeah. Yeah, it's, what, 10 or 11 stops?
Yep, we're about, if you're talking, signal to noise ratio of 2, which like, not like pure dynamic range, but usable, 10 to 11 stops. Like if you're comparing it to the S1 Mark II, which we all think kind of has basically the same sensor, it's like 2.5 stops less whenever you take the S1 Mark II or S1 Mark II and put it into DR boost.
Now, the one thing though is that with DR boost on, the rolling shutter on the S1 II is going to be worse.
Yeah, but at least you have the option.
Yeah.
You can have fast rolling shutter and have lower dynamic range of around 11 stops, or you can put into DR boost and get 13, 14-ish stops. Kind of, similar to good cameras like an XH2S. And
it is good to get the option.
Right, except the XH2S has more chroma subsampling, but that's fine. Anyway, it's tough, right? Because this ZR camera is like, this is the cine version of this camera, and it's maybe kind of a bummer that the dynamic range is fairly limited.
Yeah, seems like it.
So the other interesting thing this was the first camera that came out with R3D, that new red raw codec.
Well, and also like the first hybrid mirrorless type camera that supports any red codec.
Right. And it seems that that's not the only raw codec you can shoot on the ZR. You can shoot in ProRes RAW as well.
Right.
So you can ProRes RAW or this R3D, which is a red raw codec. And it seems that there are some interesting limitations that present whenever you shoot in R3D. Like, it doesn't seem to have the same highlight recovery as the red raw that we've seen on other red cameras. And whenever in CineD's testing, they compare shooting in ProRes RAW versus red raw 3D, and the ProRes has substantially better highlight recovery when it's 4 stops overexposed. I think that part of the issue here is that the base ISO that you need to shoot at for red raw is lower than ProRes RAW, and so they were effectively like starting at a higher mark because they set them to the same ISO, and so they were already too far past middle gray on the R3D, and so as a result, it was more overexposed at 4 stops over compared to the ProRes RAW. So like maybe not exactly the perfect A/B comparison, because if you try to set it up as these are exactly the same ISO, exactly the same configuration, the red RAW is going to clip sooner, whereas ProRes RAW isn't. But like then you're going to get it on the other side. So a little weird there as far as like how those codecs are working. Also, there's a little difference in white balance. The R3D seems to have like more, I think it was more magenta or more green. And so if you
how does that work though? Because it's a raw codec. So how does white balance matter?
But like if you just run it with the same settings into your raw converter, what it looks like out the gate.
I see.
And this kind of goes, anyway. So
I wonder if they'll fix any of that stuff with a firmware update.
Yeah, and I think that how exactly ProRes RAW and R3D are is maybe a question as well. Like, where is the demosaicing happening?
Oh, yeah.
And is it happening before or after compression? So those kind of things can all come into play here. But the point is, like, if you're shooting on this ZR, you choosing between like the H.265 codecs, ProRes RAW, and R3D seem like they're all going to yield different exposure capabilities, different limitations on dynamic range, and different color.
Yeah.
And that's like, I don't know. To me, that seems like maybe kind of a problem. Like if you just mostly just have to pick your codec and shoot in the one codec. And it also seems like this R3D is more of like, this is the one that's different and weird. And I'm wondering, it feels like the people who are going to buy a ZR are going to buy it to shoot in R3D.
I would think so. Yeah.
But everything else on the camera is like, R3D, you stay over there, and then we'll be over here, and I'll be like uniform and cool. And so like maybe you'd want to shoot in those, but at that point, why don't you just buy a Z6 III?
Yeah, it seems like it'd be better if you had the option of like maybe shooting some quick test clips in your compressed codec, and then when you shoot in R3D, like you're actually getting the same kind of look, so you can set everything properly. I don't know.
I still think this is a super slick little camera and a nice cine style run and gun, big screen. Don't really connect it to anything else, just like shoot with it kind of camera.
I agree.
But I wish the sounds were a little better, honestly. It doesn't perform quite as, like, if you sacrifice a little bit of rolling shutter and you bought a different like hybrid mirrorless camera, I think you just get more out of other cameras. Yeah. But also, like, this thing's $2,200, right? It's a really, really good price point.
I would be interested if they did something more at the C50 price point. Like if they took like a Z8 or something and made a, R3D version of that.
Yeah.
I think that could be interesting. But maybe they're starting here. And then, I mean, for one thing, I think if people were interested in this camera, I'd be tempted to wait 6 months and see what they do with firmware updates, because maybe there'll be some improvements there. But it could also be, just the first one in the line, and then maybe they'll take the feedback and make a higher end version of the same thing.
Sure. Right. The version of this, like you said, that's a C50 equivalent is probably a little more interesting.
Yeah.
I don't know what sensor they would put into it, but it could be pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's a little update on the ZR. And then one more update here that has already become an annoyance for me. Frame.io has released a V4 update. And I don't know, it seems like for a while there, Frame.io was just getting into everything. It was like all these cameras had Frame.io integration.
Camera to cloud.
Yeah, camera to cloud. You can shoot and upload directly to the cloud. And then for most NLEs, it was integrated directly into the NLE, so you can then pull down your footage, or you could upload review footage and all this sort of thing.
Well, and you get like the markers go in, or like you get all the comments as markers on your timeline.
Yeah. If you uploaded directly from like Resolve or After Effects or whatever to Frame.io, and then you sent that link to someone to review, their comments would then sync back and then show up in the NLE afterwards, which was really cool.
It felt so cool.
Yeah, so it's like the integration and stuff with Frame.io and all the software on the cameras seemed like it was this nice third-party add-on that kind of improved workflows. And I believe Adobe bought Frame.io, is that right?
Yes, they did at some point.
So they bought them, and so I'm going to blame Big Adobe here.
Big Adobe.
Frame.io has released version 4, and version 4 basically just breaks everything. Almost most, if not all, native Frame.io integration is just done.
Does that mean that, have they said, like, are they not supporting that anymore, or is it just that right now it's not working?
It's not supported right now. In version 4, Resolve, After Effects, Vimeo, Dropbox, Capture One, all of the integrations that previously existed where you could then upload straight to or download from Frame.io just don't work anymore.
Wow, that's pretty bad.
Yeah, they removed client link sharing, and it's like, and they're basically forcing you into it. Like, I was logging in, and I was having issues with, like, your Frame.io account was full, and so I was using mine, and I logged in, and it was like, upgrade to 4, and I was like, cool, V4, upgrade. And then when I did, it's like, well, now I can't use this how I was using it, and it's broken.
That's the worst thing about all these, now that most software is just online, it just changes, and you don't have a choice whether to use the new thing or not.
Yeah, they've I think that you can kind of still choose right now, but they're just going to shove you into version 4, and I think that, there's a lot of, I guess, interesting features and things that they've announced as a part of V4. Like, it's a really big update. But to me, it feels like a big pivot away from what Frame.io was before version 4, which was like a partner with your software stack and camera stack that you can like use any application or any camera that, has integration, which was like a lot. It's a lot of cameras at this point to like feed into and out of this product.
Yeah.
And now it feels like Frame.io was like V4 and just cut all the ties. And I'm exaggerating and making maybe a bit of a mountain out of a molehill here, but I was very miffed that like our workflow was broken by this update.
Yeah.
And Frame.io was just like on purpose.
I'm curious if, so one thing is I bet you can still download the file with the markers, because that's one workaround for getting like the comments into the software. Is you can usually download a file, like it's some format, I don't know what the format is, and then import it into your software and get that. So you can do it, but it is like now you have like these 3 steps instead of it just happening automatically. So I'm curious if that still works. I expect it probably does. But I also wonder what their plan is for this. I mean, maybe they just felt like that was lower priority than some of these other features and they're going to add it at some point. But it is weird that they had such a big regression. Like it did seem like that was a major feature for them and then they just kind of dropped it.
Yeah, and I don't know if it's like there was, sometimes whenever you're updating software, you kind of have to make a hard choice of like, hey, we had all these integrations. This is how it worked. Mm-hmm. We need to move the whole stack forward.
Right.
And we basically just have to cut off everything and then rebuild because what we built before this is not compatible.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping that that's what this is like in future they bring back these, integrations. But I don't know. It was a bit frustrating.
Yeah. Yeah, that is frustrating. And I know they have cool new features in the software. Like I think I saw stuff where like you can like mark up documents and like, things like that. So, in some ways it seems like they're trying to be like a more comprehensive option, but it's also like, why do that and like lose your core functionality? I don't know.
Yeah, for sure. So, or at least the core functionality that I used all the time.
Yeah. Which is the only one that matters.
Exactly. Right. My use was the only one that matters.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's it.
Shame.
So we'll keep an eye on this. Maybe I'll figure out what's actually new. I read through it. Like I've read what's new, and I'm like, don't care about that. Don't care about that. Don't care about that.
Yep.
What is the software for anymore? But
yeah, I know what you mean.
Anyway,
and on the other hand, I think Resolve, like, was this something they actually announced or just something that was like rumored? But because they have Blackmagic Cloud.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like there was some stuff where they were adding similar features to where you could send review links to people.
Yeah, you could do that. Was more related towards like director reviews and stuff like that. And it's a bit different. Yeah. It's not really the same thing, but there was some similar features that DaVinci Resolve announced. I'd be curious if maybe we could use that.
I have to imagine that if Frame didn't re-add the integration to Resolve, I can't imagine Blackmagic not making something to do that similar thing.
But it's not just Resolve.
No, I know it's not, but I'm just saying like of all companies, like Resolve is so ecosystem focused. I could really see them doing that.
Yeah, I'm sure they one of the 10,000 features that comes out with Resolve 22 or whatever.
Even the point updates for Resolve are like major things.
I don't understand how they get so much stuff done.
It's crazy.
It's ridiculous. Yeah. They must be really leaning into that Scrum workflow or whatever.
Yeah. Honestly, it's probably what it is. Like people would see that and think they must have like some huge team of software engineers working on it. It's honestly probably the opposite.
Yeah.
Like if you compare it to other software like After Effects or something, like Adobe has so many people, working on stuff, but honestly, a smaller team that doesn't have as much management overhead, as many like competing priorities and stuff, like really can usually get things done faster. So I bet they just have like a really small team and not a lot of like resistance to adding new features.
Just cranking.
It's
but they all seem to know how people use the software. Like sometimes some software that I use, it's like in like the work that I do, it feels like the people who write the software have never done that kind of work.
Definitely.
And it's like you just don't get it. Like you don't understand what would be most beneficial, or like the way you've designed this and the way I have to use your software, it feels like a workaround and it really sucks.
Yeah.
And I don't know, Resolve just feels like the opposite to me, where it seems like the people who are writing software are using it and know what video creators want. And like maybe that's just me and how I use it and I'm just clicking with it, and maybe other people don't feel that way, but to me it's like, boy, I didn't even know I needed that feature, and that's going to change my life.
It's very rare that they add something that feels like a step back in like usability.
Except that I can't scrub to preview things anymore in timelines with the latest update.
Really?
Because they added that like dual viewer thing.
Oh yeah.
And so now you have to like have both viewers up or like double click into, like previously in the media window, if you had like to live scrub turned on and you set things to the largest like icon view, you didn't have to click on the file to start scrubbing.
And you would use that to go through like event clips.
Right, yeah. So like I could be in the timeline and then just bring my mouse over there, not double click anything, just start scrubbing and scrolling and it would show up in the viewer. That doesn't work anymore. You have to like double click the first thing to like activate the preview from the like, because they integrated the viewers. So it's like a unified viewer where there's the timeline view and then the media pool view, and usually you have to like double click in the media pool in order to like activate the media pool view or whatever. Anyways, it's like it's more clicks, Daniel, and it was less clicks before, and I don't like it.
Yeah, that is a shame they did that. And sometimes they add stuff that we just don't use, like the all the replay stuff they've done. Just feels like it's for a use case that doesn't really like we don't really need that for our work. So there's stuff like that, but it's very rare that they do things that actually make the experience worse, which is uncommon.
I watch F1 all the time, and I think about the replay thing very frequently.
Yeah,
because it's all live, right? And so like they'll do the race start, then after something will happen. Almost every race, first lap, something crazy happens. And you're just like, oh my gosh, I want to see that again. And you're just like waiting. And I know that as soon as like they get through that first lap, there are video editors who are furiously like that clip, go, go.
Yep.
And so they can just feedback live the replay. Yep. And
that'd be a pretty intense job.
Yeah. It's like you got to be watching. You're like, snap, that was crazy. Go back 10 seconds and clip, throw that in there. Okay, next, and clip, throw that in there. All right, now let's organize it all into so that like we're watching all of the Verstappen stuff, then all of the Hulkenberg stuff, then all of the Norris stuff. I don't know how they do it, man. But like, I just know as soon as like those cars touch, these guys over here on the video side are like,
they're using their little DaVinci Resolve panels.
And I'm always wondering, like, are they using DaVinci Resolve? Like, did those preview replay features they were released, like, did it change these people's lives? I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't think that the replays got any faster, so maybe they weren't using Resolve.
Maybe they just get more time off now.
Yeah, maybe that's what it is.
They had time to take a drink between.
Yeah, exactly. It's still the same time frame that they get it done, but they're not stressed out about it.
Exactly. Yeah. It'd be interesting to try and I don't know if this is findable, but it'd be interesting to try and figure out like how F1 does it in terms of what software they use, like that kind of thing. Because I do wonder I wonder how much penetration Resolve has gotten in like truly professional work like that. Mm-hmm. Because we see those features and it's clear what they're going for, but I don't really know. Is this like a small news stations are using this, or like are people actually like doing that for big stuff?
I mean, it's their live broadcast stuff and switchers and all that are pretty big in the market. Mm-hmm. So
I know I've seen, so like we're in Texas, football is like the biggest thing, and even like at the high school level, there's like
second to F1,
it's a big deal. And I've actually seen online where like some big high schools have like I guess they stream their games or whatever.
Sure, yeah.
And they have like a production trailer with like all this Blackmagic equipment, for
yeah.
Like,
when Anderson High School and McAllen High School play each other, that's got to be televised.
Yeah, yeah. And so I would bet at that level they're using stuff like the preview features or the replay stuff because like that's a good use case for it. Oh, yeah. And it's also like Blackmagic stuff is probably a quarter of the price of any other competing thing. So
yeah, I can just imagine some nerdy high schooler just
oh my gosh, I would have
ripping on that.
I would have been so into that. High school.
Yep,
my high school didn't have video production stuff, but if they had,
watch out.
Yeah.
Anyway, computers weren't cool enough to do that whenever we were in high school, Daniel. They still used reels of tape.
Yep. And even if computers had been able to do that, I mean, you remember being in high school. If you had been that kid doing like video replay stuff in the trailer, sure, you'd have had fun doing it, but you also would have been like shoved into a locker the next Monday.
No way, man. It's you start taking bribes. I mean, you're like, hey, you give me your Crispitos, I'll make sure you're on the highlight reel. You know what I'm talking about?
That's how it works.
That's exactly how it works.
You got something to trade now.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. That little Debbie, I'm thinking you're going to make the highlight reel.
We'll be back in just a moment, but we wanted to let you know that if you'd like to support the show, you can now subscribe to us on Patreon. It helps cover our hosting costs so we can keep the show running, and you might find an occasional behind-the-scenes post on there, like some photos we've taken recently or a mini review of some new gear. If you're interested, you can find us at patreon.com/cameragearpodcast. We've spent a lot of time around water lately.
Sorry. Okay. Yeah.
Should we talk about it?
We got to get into this. All right. There has been a lot of preamble and related to my trip to Caddo Lake State Park / Caddo Lake in East Texas.
We have mentioned that.
And particularly in that it was my dad's photo club and I was going to get to hang out with all of his photo club people.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't get to hang out with them as much as I thought / wanted to.
Yeah.
I didn't know if like the boat, because it's like, well, whenever we went there last year, we saw some like swamp tour things where they were like big boats with a bunch of people on them. And I thought it was going to be like that situation where I was going to get to hang out with a bunch of people. The boat tours for this one were like a flat bottom boat, single motor that could seat 4 people plus the driver.
Oh, a much more intimate situation.
Yeah. So it was like me, my dad, and 2 other people.
Mm-hmm.
And there were, I think, 3 boat tours setups, maybe 4. And so we got in on the Sunrise boat tour, which was legit.
Yeah, if you're going to pick one, I think the Sunrise one's the one to pick.
Mm-hmm. The other thing that I didn't know about, I thought, like, we went and, kayaked around Caddo.
What do you mean when we went last year?
When we went last year. It was the first time I'd ever been there, and it's like this coolest thing. This time I learned like so much about the history of this area. Is wild. Like, it was... It's like the largest naturally formed lake in Texas, but it wasn't really naturally formed in so much that there was just like a big log jam that was like miles long.
Okay.
That created the lake. And then Mr. Shreve, as in like Shreveport, Louisiana,
Mr. Shreve
cleared it, and then it caused the lake level to drop like 8 feet when they cleared this thing, which caused the port city of Jefferson, Texas to like not become a port city anymore.
That's awkward.
And where they were like river boats, and it was like Louisiana. It was like New Orleans or something, or a little tiny version. And then later on they came back and they built a dam. And so now it is dammed to recreate the lake. But whenever they recreated it, like, it didn't bring back Jefferson, Texas. It's still just like a little river over there. But whenever they did it, they dug a bunch of dredges through, like, before they, normally when you dredge a river or a lake so that ships can pass through like a channel, you do it like when there's water. But they did all these dredges before the water was there. So they built these tunnels and then they flooded it, and all the trees died except for the cypress. And the cypress are just kind of static. Like they don't get enough air to grow because they're underwater, partially.
Okay.
But they're not going to die because cypress basically grow along water anyway. So it's kind of like their natural environment. And so all of the cypress in Caddo Lake, which is like, here's a lake and a bunch of cypress trees, like a forest that is where the floor is all water, which is this incredible ecosystem.
Yeah.
But like the cypress aren't going to grow any larger, but they don't die. They're just like frozen in time.
That's super weird.
I know. I didn't know any of this. And so it's just super, super cool. And the water is like so still that it's a mirror.
Yeah.
And whenever you go out there, like we go out there on the Sunrise boat tour, and we're like at the easternmost edge of Caddo Lake, and like the sun coming up is like glass, and like with a red sky, and then the red lake, and then like it like fades into the blue, and like the moon is out and the sun's out. Oh my gosh.
Some good photo opportunities there.
Boy, that was incredible. It was amazing.
Sounds pretty good.
But what I didn't know is that, like, I thought Caddo Lake was kind of like its own. Every time, like, when I talk to people, I'm like, oh yeah, I'm going to go to Caddo Lake. They're like, where's that?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think I didn't know about it before we went last year.
Yeah,
I don't think it's super well known.
I talked to people in Texas about it. I'm like, oh yeah, we're going to go to Caddo. And they're like, I don't know what you're talking about. I had like no idea. So I thought it was like this secret thing. And apparently the leaves change. And by, like, to me, I was there during like peak leaf changing season, and
probably why this trip was planned for this time.
It seems generous, in my opinion, to call the leaf changing in Caddo leaf changing.
Well, we are in Texas, so
yeah. But all the photographers showed up. Like all the photographers showed up. There was like within the state park, there was a pier that kind of like overlooks a lake area with all the cypress and stuff. when we got there, and we're like, okay, we're going to go to the pier and just kind of like take pictures or whatever. And I'm there with, I think there was like 16 people in our group total, wives and photographers kind of thing. And so like not all of them were shooting photos, but maybe call it 8 to 10 of them were shooting photos. Not counting them, the pier was shoulder to shoulder with photographers and tripods. Like easily 30 people on the pier taking pictures.
Jeez.
And I'm like, so we're all just going to hear it. We're like, could maybe one of us could take the picture? And then like we don't have to all stand here.
Just
you
like
just share it.
Airdrop it.
Yeah, just airdrop it to us. I'm like, how photographed is this one lake? Was the thing that kept crossing in my mind. Is like, sure, I'll take 10 pictures here, but like all these other dudes are going to take 10 pictures.
Did it sound like the paparazzi were like you're just hearing like shutters fire constantly?
They were all pretty.
With some people like using flash and stuff for no reason, you know?
They were all pretty quiet.
Okay.
So when I was talking to the guy that was driving the boat during the sunrise tour, I guess like he had a much more optimistic opinion of this whole situation. I mean,
did he?
He was cool. Like to me, I'm just like I'm so cynical. Like I need to be better about it. It's one of my faults.
In what way were you cynical
and
about this?
To me, I'm like, we're all here taking 1,000 pictures of the same stupid trees, and like at some point, like there's been enough photos of enough variety of these trees that if they were made available, I could just go online and download this picture. I mean, like, do I really need to take this picture?
That's
if they're also taking this picture.
That's a really interesting like thought experiment question. Like, given a like finite sized area, how many photographers have to be in that area for how long to take every picture that can reasonably be taken?
It just feels a little bit like that. Like I like taking pictures to like capture the memory, but if I'm just capturing the memory and there's nothing personal in it, like my friends aren't in there, I'm not in it, I could just look it up on Google Maps.
So I think that's interesting. Like, I think for a lot of people, you know, they go somewhere, they take a picture of a mountain, like you said, like your friends aren't in it. It's not about that. Is it, you know, like, is it important to you because you're capturing the memory, or is there something for you in like, I'm the one that took this picture. Like I used my equipment. I chose my settings. Like even though it's been done before, like maybe somebody else has taken that exact picture. Is it important to you that like you took the picture?
These are the things that the photographer must ask him or herself.
That sounds like it's something from like The Decisive Moment or something.
A little bit. Because like you like hike a mountain or something and you get to, you know, a vista. But that they built the trail. The vista's there because it's really cool to look at. You're not the first person to take that picture.
Sure.
And sure, copyright reasons, like every version of that picture that everyone's ever taken, like you're not going to be able to get to those until AI takes over and steals all of our data, and then you could just like ask it for every version of that picture. Point is, someone probably like almost guaranteed every vista I've taken a picture of, someone's taken a better picture of it.
This reminds me of our recent trip where there were literally signs that said, be sure to stop and take a picture of this amazing view.
Yep. And so whenever you smash your Pentax 17 and stop taking pictures, like I could just go look up those pictures.
Yeah, they're already there.
Yep.
I don't know.
And so like that's one take on it, which is like the cynic's take. And then the other one is the guy on the boat. He's like, I love doing this. I'm retired and I love just like driving my motorboat around. I love motorboating. And I am not a photographer.
Retired and he loves motorboating.
Aren't we all? Don't we all? He's not a photographer, and he doesn't like fishing anymore because he's like, I just like the views. And he just likes driving his boat around. And he's like, I love taking photographers out because like he had a really good eye for photography. Like he could see the pictures that would be good, which was interesting because he's like doesn't shoot, but that's like something we talked about before. It's a useful
skill though, that like he knows where to take people for good pictures.
But it's also something we've talked about before, where it's like, how can you teach that? And some people just have it, right? So he like doesn't shoot, but he's like, isn't that a cool tree? And then all four guys are like take a picture of the one tree, but his take on it was like, I can take the same boat of photographers to the same tree and tell them all to take a picture of it, and they'll all take a picture of it because they're going to do whatever I'm going to say. And it's always a different picture from each photographer, and they're all unique in their own way. And because everyone shoots differently, and even if it's the same tree and you take a picture of it 100 times from 100 different photographers, it's different every time because the tree grew, or the photographer has a different perspective, or their settings are different, or they see it differently.
Sure.
And I'm like, that's a nice way to think about it. unlike me, who's just like, how many times do I have to take a picture of that dang tree?
It does seem like a nice way to think about it. And I feel like it's maybe part of it is like how you approach photography as a hobby in terms of like, is it a means to an end of like I need to capture this moment versus like versus like I'm trying to enjoy, you know, like using my equipment, like learning how to take better photos, it's okay for it to be like about the experience, but what you're saying is more like it's about the end result. I think it's an interesting distinction.
Yeah, I don't know. Like to me, it's if I'm taking a picture of something, like I feel like this more and more where I'm like taking a picture of something that's probably been pictured a jillion times. Like, how can I make this mine?
Mm-hmm.
Like, how is it personal? Because that's what I'm like, for me, photography, like we talked about this before, where I'm not like studying other people's photography to like be the best photographer.
Mm-hmm.
I like capturing moments to remember them and relive them. And so for me, photos being personal and gearing more towards like snapshot and having like a personality to them is becoming more and more appealing compared to like taking the most perfect glossy landscape photo.
I agree. I mean, more and more of my pictures, like going on trips and stuff, have people in them, and I'm less interested in taking pictures unless somebody that I'm on the trip with is in the picture. But I think that maybe some of that is because I don't really do much with printing my photos and hanging them up or selling them, or, you know, and some people like that's what they do with photography. And so in that sense,
sure.
Like, I'm not going to like try and sell a picture that has my friends in it, you know, so it's kind of mixed.
It's definitely a matter of that, right? It's like, it's as the photographer that I am is not the one that's like the perfect picture of that tree. That person does exist and they're going to take a dang good picture.
Yep.
And there was a lot of those people there. It was like so many of those people. Anyway, so that was like one thing was I was shocked and appalled at the sheer number of cameras. Also, Daniel, there were so many cameras.
Did you have a feeling for what the most popular brand was?
Oh boy, like lots of Nikons.
I believe that.
Lots of Sonys and some Canons.
Yeah. So, do you see any other Fuji?
Yeah. Well, so one of the guys that kind of like he's the one that organized the trip for the photo club, and my dad was like, "This guy, when at any time the town they live in will do like photo competitions and stuff," and he's like, "If this guy submits, it's not worth submitting because he wins every time." And I'm like, he also shoots a Fuji, and so I got to talk to him about like. There was a few people that I talked to. They're like, "Oh, why do you shoot Fuji?" So I'd be like, "Because it's the best." And they like tell me about it. There's this one guy. I'm on the boat, and he's shooting an A7 IV, and he's asking me like why I shoot Fuji, and I'm like, cost per dollar and also like really good hybrid video specs, and we shoot a lot of video and have an X-H2S, and like the video is way better than anything else, including an S1 Mark II, mostly because chroma subsampling. And then we talked about chroma subsampling for like 45 minutes, and then he jumped off the boat and was eaten by a crocodile, and I was like,
and that was a better outcome for him than listening to you talk about chroma subsampling for another moment.
Yeah, some of that wasn't true. Anyways, he said, well, Sony is the best hybrid mirrorless camera and the video specs are amazing. And I was like, oh, you know, okay. I was talking about the Fuji stuff, and then I was like, yeah, eventually I'm probably going to like switch to full frame, you know, maybe like go towards a Lumix because of, you know, their video specs and whatever. And he was like shocked that I mentioned Panasonic. He's like, why would anyone ever shoot on a Lumix camera? That's ridiculous. Sony is hands down the best hybrid camera, blah, 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 blah. And I was like, go on. I didn't know Sony bros came in your flavor. Anyways, it was very interesting. A lot of people have a lot of opinions.
Yes.
And they're all right. And I agree with all of them. So that was really fun talking to him. The other guy that was on the boat was shooting on a DSLR Canon, like an APS-C DSLR Canon. So it had to be a 7D, I guess. 7D Mark 1, 7D Mark 2.
Yeah, I mean, there's not that many choices anymore.
And that was interesting because that camera's ancient at this point.
You have one.
I do have a 7D Mark 1. 7D Mark 2, that would be a little newer, but even still, that's like easily 10 years old.
Yeah.
So I thought that was interesting. There was a lot of stuff where it's like, you know, some people shooting on really, really old camera gear, some people shooting on more modern camera gear. Back to the Fuji guy. He hiked Mount Kilimanjaro as a fundraiser, which ? I don't know how that's a fundraiser, but like I guess people do that with photography, and like maybe I need to figure out how that works. Where you're like, I'm going to go to Africa.
Maybe people like sponsor you or something.
Maybe, or maybe you go like teach people something. I don't know. Anyways, it was a fundraiser of some sort. He hiked Mount Kilimanjaro with a 5D Mark III.
Jeez.
And when he got down, he sold his 5D and bought a Fuji.
Probably would have left it on the top of the mountain if he didn't think it'd be littering.
Yep, boy, can you imagine? With all the lenses.
I just wonder if when do you think he decided he was going to do that? Like when during that hike?
Yeah, I think he had a Fuji at the time. And when he got down, he was like, that's it. Yep. So, and that guy, I mean, I wish I could have talked more with him about all of the lenses he has, but I did see him shooting on a 16 to 55 f2.8, and I saw him shooting on the 18 f1.4, and he told me that his favorite portrait lens was some brand that he couldn't remember, but it was like a 75 something. And then I pulled out my Viltrox 75 1.2 and I was like, is this your lens? And he was like, yes it is.
I bet that was a really satisfying moment for you.
It sure was.
Yep.
Felt real good.
Did you feel like you had gotten some cred with him at that point?
I was like, we're the same person. So, and
he's hiked at least one more mountain than you. But.
And his wife was shooting on an XT3. He has two XT5s, one silver and one black, so we can tell the difference apart.
Well, that makes sense.
He knows which one camera to grab.
Yeah. Okay.
It's a good idea.
Yeah.
I'm saying more cameras should come in more colors. Mm-hmm. So if you have two, you can tell them apart.
I agree.
Without putting gaff tape on them.
Yeah.
You're going to put gaff tape on them anyway, but that's fine.
Yeah.
His wife was shooting on an XT3 with the Tamron 18 to 300.
Oh, super zoom.
And she was like, no, like check this out. See that butterfly over there that's like 8 feet away on that flower? The tightest frame on that butterfly. It filled the whole picture. And I was like, that's actually pretty cool.
You're like, kind of get it now.
Okay, so like this is, boy, Daniel, we're not going to get anywhere today. So you're like, go on. Anyway, so that happened with the 18 to 300. I was like, okay, I see how that's handy. I can see how that's useful because it's like small and light. Not small, but it's like 4.5 inches long and a 67 millimeter.
It's like a reasonable size lens.
It's like not crazy. It's not a 50 to 140 on a teleconverter.
Sure.
Which is 280 millimeters.
Yeah.
But weighs
and
like
it's huge.
An entire pound more and it's like kind of big and you're worried about breaking it all the time.
Right.
And so whenever we went on the boat, I was still a little worried about how wet everything was going to be. And
I mean, that's my mental picture of boats. It's just, I think everything's going to be wet.
Everything's going to be wet. And I didn't know how, like, I was a little worried about things getting banged up and I wasn't quite sure what to be ready for. And
it'd be hard to know what to bring, like going into that situation for the first time. Having never done it, you'd be like, yeah, I just don't know like how this is going to be.
Right. And I mean, it's a flat bottom boat, smaller boat. I'm like, I'm assuming there's going to be overspray. Mm-hmm. I just, game time decision. I had brought the 50 to 140 with me. And I think I brought the teleconverter and I left it at the cabin and I brought the 75 1.2, my 35 1.4, my 16 to 55 on the boat. Mm-hmm. And there was a lot of bird photography happening and my bird pictures are way too far away.
Yeah, because you had the largest focal length you had was 75 instead of 280.
Right. And so there was a number of photos that I was like, this would be cool. I can't take that picture. And there was somewhere where I took the picture and I cropped 200%, did upscale in Lightroom and like it's passable and it's fine. Mm-hmm. But maybe it's probably not going to win any awards. Anyway, like, and it was nice to have the 40 megapixel on the XT5 in order to do that cropping. Sure. But I had wished every moment that we were on that boat that I had brought my long lens. Mm. And so whenever we were packing up to go on our other sailing trip, I was like, last time I was on a boat, I needed a telephoto. Mm-hmm. And we're going to be on a boat for 7 days. Do I need to bring I don't want to pack to fly across the world with the freaking 50 to 140. Yeah. I do not want to pack that lens because I will break it. Mm. Do I need to buy an 18 to 300
now?
I
remember you having that crisis. Yeah, like you saw that lady take that butterfly picture. You were like, I want a butterfly picture like that.
Exactly. Right. But she already took it. So she could just send it to me.
That's true.
Case in point. But okay, look, whenever I went to Key West this summer, and this makes it sound like I'm like a really seasoned traveler.
It really does. Yeah, it sounds like you travel a lot.
We go like 2 places a year. Okay, everyone just calm down.
And it just so happens that all of them this year have been around water
a little bit,
except for when we went to Japan, which we do travel a lot, I guess. But
just I don't know. I guess more recently.
It's just been this year.
It's been nice. It's been nice to get out.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Point is, whenever we took the boat from Key West to the Dry Tortugas, and I brought my 50 to 140 that time, and I like shot pictures from the ferry coming back from the Dry Tortugas of some boats on the horizon. And there was one picture I took where I was like, "Is that guy naked?"
And was he?
And no, he wasn't. He was just wearing very tan clothes, but he super looked naked. Like, some people can wear flesh-colored clothing. Other people shouldn't. Just gonna leave it at that. Point is, if I didn't have the 50 to 140, I would still think he was naked at this point right now. But
well, I'm glad you were able to demystify that for yourself.
Yeah,
it sounds really important.
And so this was part of the conversation with my wife before we left. Was like, what if there's a naked guy? Like, I got to be able to zoom in. She's like, really good point.
Can't disagree with that.
Anyway, so the camera store had one used for $500, and I was
how
like,
close did you come to getting it?
If it was a week earlier, and we weren't just like getting ready for the trip, because I got back from Caddo like super late on Wednesday, and we left at 1 a.m. on Sunday morning.
Yeah, so it's you're having to, and you worked,
and I worked
job
like 2 days.
Yeah, so you're really having to throw things together.
It was just blistering speed in order to get onto an airplane and out. So I didn't buy it, and with the photos that I took in the British Virgin Islands, I don't think I needed it.
Yeah, I was going to ask you because I feel like, I mean, that's kind of, I guess, jumping to our second trip. Like, I didn't feel like I missed telephoto.
No.
And I mean, so I will say I used the telephoto on my phone a lot, but it was only to read boat names from really far away. And but for the photos I took, actually, like the 28 millimeter equivalent on the GR4 was plenty for what I was doing.
Yep.
Like everything's just like really wide open and stuff. And I can't really think of when you would have needed a telephoto on that trip.
Not for that trip. There wasn't any isolated subjects that one would want to have taken a picture of that we weren't like, oh, we have to ride a dinghy or swim to shore.
Yeah.
And so like whatever you're going to bring with you has to be waterproofed somehow. And then like, are you going to, it wasn't a photography geared trip.
No,
so like,
not really.
I didn't need the 18 to 300, but it's still a little bit in the back of my mind now of like, in situations where I want that much reach, do I need to go buy a 100 to 400 or an 18 to 300?
I think this is like the good. I mean, we kind of made so many jokes about super zooms in this podcast, like, with people liking them and, why would you want that? Why would you take that on a trip? But I think it is really practical in a lot of cases because it's a cheaper lens. So you're not worried about like messing up your expensive one that you're using for paid work. It's smaller, so it's easier to pack in your luggage. And I think that it can make sense for this kind of thing where you're willing to make some of those compromises, like for the benefit of like actually having a lens that can get the shot.
I spent 4 days with a group of people where the average age was pushing 70 and maybe 69. Let's go with that. Average age was 69.
Nice.
Thank you.
I was drinking water.
Yeah,
but I was thinking it.
That's what. And I heard from multiple people the same sentiment that super zooms are the best kind of lens. And like many of them were like, oh, like this lens has a 40x zoom. They're like, sweet. There's one person, he was like, I wish that I had a lens that was like an 8 to 600. That would be nice.
I mean, they make those broadcast lenses. The problem is they weigh like 60 pounds.
I should have showed him a picture of that lens. I knew it didn't even occur to me. And I'm like, but you push my glasses up. The optics on the wide end and the telephoto end will be compromised. So you really only get the most optimal picture quality from the middle 70% of the range. So like really, and plus the it's like f 8.7. So like, can you really even shoot that? Come on. They don't care. The wisdom of my elders is that super zooms are the best.
They're just all about getting that decisive moment. And the best way to get that decisive moment is to have a lens that can be any focal length you want. You
reach a certain age where you understand that, I'm shooting at f4.5 to 6.3 pretty much all the time anyway. I mean, I'm always shooting pictures outside because I can't. I mean, like, it's so dark inside anyway. Like, who's even going to take that picture? And like, I'm traveling. Why do I need to carry around 40 lenses when I'm traveling? What if I only carried around one lens? And that lens did all the things.
I can see the appeal.
Whenever we were shooting sunrise photos, I was getting some sick shots. And I looked over at my dad's camera and I was like, maybe you should bump your ISO a little bit. It's a little dark over there. Or I was like, why don't you open up your aperture a little bit? A little dark. That picture looks a little grainy. Maybe lower your ISO and raise your aperture. He couldn't because he was shooting on a super zoom. And I'm over here shooting at like freaking f2 and he's stuck at f4. And I'm like, I'm on an APS-C camera and I'm getting more light than you. How about them apples?
Is that the kind of conversation you had with your dad on this bonding trip?
No, he did tell me. He was like, you're pretty good talking about cameras with these people. And I was like, it's because I have a podcast about cameras.
He still doesn't understand that, does he?
I don't think he heard me. I think that sometimes his hearing aids are turned down on purpose. Anyways, so that was the Fuji guy. I talked about the Sony guy. What other cameras did I see? Oh, right. So I saw Nikon, saw Sony, saw Canon. Okay. There was one point in time where, so I was brandishing my Pentax 17 anytime
brandishing. You were showing it off.
Look, Daniel, I like cameras and I like talking about cameras. Uh-huh. And I was like, I want to talk to these people about my Pentax 17. I'm not embarrassed to say, every time we were like in a social setting, like, oh, we're going to eat lunch together and like have picnic lunch. I'm like, sweet. Bring my Pentax 17, wearing it around my neck until somebody asks me about it. Dang it. It took like 3 tries. But boy, was it worth it. Because someone was like, oh, that's a nice camera there. Gotcha.
Yeah. You're like, you're trapped now.
Oh, it's a film camera. Blink, blink, blink.
How long did you talk that person's ear off?
Okay, so the person that I primarily talked to about the film camera was the guy that was previously the photographer for the National Park Service.
Oh, that's cool.
And would shoot like large format, like photos of national parks. And I talked to him about like medium format cameras. And he was like, look, if you're going to shoot medium format, you should shoot 6.9, not 6.45 because of these reasons. And my dad was like, that guy has a pretty substantial film camera collection. And I'm like, I need to hang out with this person for like just nonstop for a week. So that was really cool to talk to this guy because like he's a National Park Service photographer.
I bet he has some cool stories.
He's probably got some really cool pictures too.
I bet so.
He probably takes a lot better pictures of landscapes than I do.
Probably so.
And so that was really fun.
He's taking the pictures that people are downloading.
That's what I'm saying, man. And they're probably, you could probably just go download them.
Yep.
Because it's a government picture, right?
Yeah.
There's no copyright
so.
Or whatever.
Yeah. Your tax dollars paid for that photo.
Exactly, right? It's basically my photo. I'm a really good photographer. Anyway, so that was totally worth it, and to wear that camera on my neck so I could coax this guy in to talk to me about film photography. So it was really, really fun.
Yeah, that's neat.
Yep. Let's see. I think that was mostly all of the big highlights, from the trip. We didn't talk about the waterproofing. Ooh.
Well, we had talked about how you were maybe going to bring a film camera for your dad. Did you end up doing that?
Yep, I did. I brought his Canon AE1, as we talked about, and I brought him, I think, a roll of color and a roll of black and white, and I was like, it's all yours, bud. And he didn't shoot on it. It made me really sad. I was just like, I don't know. Like the things that we shot, I guess he wasn't like, oh, I'm going to shoot with the film camera today. He almost shot on it, and then I didn't want to push him into it.
Yeah.
And he chose not to.
Okay.
And whenever we were on the boat, my dad didn't bring, he had his 2 camera batteries, and he didn't bring a charger for them. And I was like, you can just charge it through the camera. And apparently, like, the old Nikon Z6 batteries, like, there's of the batteries that fit into an Nikon Z6, Z6 II, and a Z6 III. The older version apparently doesn't charge in the camera for the Z6 III, but the newer version does. And if that was me, I'd have just freaking bought another one. I mean, I know they're like $90, but come on. And so...
Or bring the charger.
He has two batteries for this thing. And one of them charges the camera, one doesn't. And I guess he didn't plan accordingly, and so he couldn't charge the other one. And so he only had the one battery for the boat trip. And he ran out of battery 80% through, and he started having to like ration his shots.
Wow.
And like when my dad shoots, we mentioned this before, he brackets and he shoots.
So he's shooting a lot of photos.
He's shooting like 7 exposures for every picture, which is gonna eat up the battery.
Sure.
So he burned through an entire battery. I burned through like half a battery with my Fuji,
which is still pretty impressive because those Fuji batteries are pretty big.
I'm just saying, man, XT5, pretty good camera. Pretty good camera. Anyway, I, in retrospect, wish that I had brought the film camera with me because he would have ran out of battery, and then I could have said, "Here's another camera for you to shoot with."
Oh man, that would have been perfect.
It would have been perfect. So I failed myself in that I didn't bring the long lens and I didn't bring the film camera to force my dad into shooting on it on the boat, both of which would have been perfect.
Yeah.
Been so perfect.
It's a shame.
So I think that's everything as far as recapping on that.
Did you do anything with waterproofing for this trip?
So I brought a dry bag and I put my small camera cube from my Peak Design kit into the dry bag, and then I put that into my Timbuktu bag.
Okay.
And my Timbuktu bag is TPU line, so like I can close it, and that's
so you have
relatively waterproof.
Layered defense system.
Yeah, and that's basically what I did. So everything was kind of like in the dry bag, in the waterproof bag, waterproof-ish. It's not like super waterproof. You can only like the toilet paper is only so dry whenever you spray down that bag.
Yeah,
it's an inside joke at this point, I guess, but it worked out fine because we didn't like get submerged.
Sure. Good.
Very different than the other trip, where they were like, man, there was a few times whenever we sailed for 7 days.
Do we want to talk about the second
Sure.
trip?
Yeah. So do we even have time?
Well, I think we do.
Okay. Yeah. Let's cover some of it. So like you and I went with a group of friends and like split a catamaran and sailed around the British Virgin Islands for a few days.
Yep.
And like there was some like in order to get from the catamaran to the island that you stop at, you have to ride a dinghy, and like
you basically could not dock the catamaran like at any of these islands,
right? And like no one really fell in the water off the dinghy. One person was pushed.
You're sticking to that story, aren't you? You took a dive. I saw it.
I was pushed.
Yeah.
Into the water. I
had
had my dry bag with me. I didn't have a camera in my dry bag, but I did have like my phone and my wallet and like a souvenir or something. So whenever I was pushed into the water, most of my things were dry. But like that's it's just a possibility.
Yeah.
Like
for sure.
Some people who ride those dinghies, man, they put like freaking 50 people on the smallest boat.
I definitely there's one or two times where I saw another dinghy and thought it was going to sink.
Yeah. Yeah, man.
Pretty intense.
It's the risk of things getting wet is higher. And if you can't get enough rolls on your dry bag, water gets in.
Yeah.
And so one of the times we did the baths over on in one of the islands, like Virgin Gorda or something.
Yeah.
And I packed a dry bag and we had to swim. Because like you could, it was so low that you couldn't bring the dinghy up to shore. Yeah. There wasn't a dock to park the dinghy, so they had a rope
to tie the dinghy off.
Yeah, there was a rope at a beach, and then you had to swim like 50 yards to get to the beach.
Yeah.
And whenever we got there and I unrolled the dry bag, it was a little moist inside.
Really? How many rolls had you gotten on that dry bag?
I had 3 rolls, man, which was the advised number of rolls.
Yeah. I feel like mine stayed pretty dry on that, but I didn't actually check.
Did you bring your GR on that one?
I think I did, but I had the GR in a Pelican case inside the dry bag.
Yeah,
so the GR would have been safe.
Yeah, it would have been totally fine. So my strategy here was that like I left my XT5 most of the time on the boat with the thought of like I could put it in the dry bag. I only did that like once. I think.
I was going to ask. I can't remember when you took it on shore.
When we were at the bitter end.
Okay.
I took it on shore and took some photos there. When like those photos turned out pretty good. Lots of sunset photos on that whole trip anyway. But I pretty much took the Pentax 17 because it's small and light. I basically just kind of like shove that camera anywhere because I'm like, it's fine, it's easy. It's like it's not like a durable camera. It's not waterproof, but it's just kind of like it's a film camera. I'm like, what can shake loose? You can just shove it in
fewer
there.
electronics, all that.
Yeah, less things to break.
Yep. Foreshadowing.
Yeah. So we hiked up. I was worried about like how wet it was getting because like my hand, everything was like we were hiked through the baths.
That was the time when everything was wet.
That was the
main time on the trip when everything.
And
was
I feel like I could
wet.
never like dry off the shutter button on the camera, and like it never stopped working. It was fine, but I was like, this is getting more wet than I'm comfortable with. But I'm gonna keep taking pictures and it'll be fine. And then we did lunch, and then we're hiking back down, and I slipped, and I had the camera in my hand, and I ended up banging the lens against a rock.
I was really surprised this happened to you because I would just think if you're in that situation, you would like risk serious bodily harm rather than let anything happen.
It just all happened so fast, and I'm like, I'm like, okay, like is it like I look at it like nothing cracked? Is it fine? I turn the camera off, turn the camera on, and like the Pentax 17 does autofocus in so much like it's still zone focusing, but it will move the lens elements.
Sure.
And whenever you turn it on, it like kind of like checks the range.
Yeah.
And there's something now wrong with its ability to move the lenses, and it goes click, 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 click whenever I turn it on. And because it can't set the focus, it won't take a picture. So my Pentax 17 is now broken. And so I rolled the film, and I tried to see if there was something I could do to like fix it while we were there. And barring taking it apart, I don't think I can fix it.
Yeah.
And so I'm going to have to take it in and get it serviced in order to get it repaired.
We did find out that the camera store here is an authorized retail center.
Yeah.
Or repair center.
So it's still going to cost me like half the price of the camera, like $300 or something in order to get it fixed. I'm going to get it fixed because like I still love that camera. Yeah. It's super fun to shoot. But
and I mean the repair costs, assuming they don't look at it and charge you way more, the repair cost is a lot, but I mean, it's way cheaper than buying a new one.
Yeah. So I think I need to maybe be a little more careful with the Pentax 17. I think I was maybe a little too carefree with it on this trip. And so like lessons learned, I'm going to have to get my camera fixed. So that was maybe the biggest bummer that I didn't get to finish that roll. I only got through like 38 shots.
And it was, that was on the, the first third of the trip or something. So it's kind of a bummer you didn't have it for most of the trip.
Yeah. The thing that I found that I got the most interest out of was shooting on the Osmo Pocket.
Yeah. You brought that to get just like video clips and stuff.
Yeah, just video clips. And I shot quite a bit of video of just kind of sailing, and I did one hyperlapse that turned out to be absurd. But overall, like shooting with the Pocket was kind of fun.
Why did you enjoy it over shooting with your phone?
It just feels less risky. You can put the strap around your wrist and you can hold it and shoot.
Yeah, you have kind of like a handle built into it, basically.
Boy, I just like, I get butterflies in my stomach whenever I'm in a precarious situation trying to take a video with my phone.
Yeah.
And I'm like, boy, sure hope I don't drop my phone in the sink or in the drink, like overboard, basically, like in the water. And now I have to like get into the country without like having the ability to like look stuff up or like pull up my registration information to like, don't just like, if I'm, near home where I have like my resources and like I can go to an Apple store or whatever.
Yeah. Less concerning.
Less concerning. But like if I'm on a sailboat, and boy, sure hope I don't know, drop my phone in the ocean. Sure.
Yeah. There were several times where I specifically left my phone in my cabin. So I was just like, I just don't want to worry about this right now. And the seas are a little rougher or whatever. Like I don't want this falling on my pocket. And who knows?
Yeah, exactly. So the Osmo was like way easier to just shoot with. So that was kind of like the surprise fun. The other fun thing that we shot with were the GoPros.
Yeah.
Because
we had two GoPro 11s.
Yeah. Friend of ours brought his GoPros, and I took one of the GoPros whenever we went snorkeling, and I got a lot of super cool underwater video.
In the waterproof case.
Yeah, in the waterproof case. So that was really, really fun using the GoPro in the waterproof case. So I feel like this trip was action camera trip.
Yeah,
whereas like
it seemed that way.
The other one was, big camera telephotos and that sort of thing. This one was like whatever we could get with the GoPro and with the Osmo were the most interesting things, in my opinion, that I captured.
Yeah. Yeah, and somebody else on the trip had one of those Olympus TG7 Tough cameras. Oh, man. That also seemed like a really good choice for this type of thing.
This kind of environment was the perfect camera for this.
Yeah.
Because like you just take it underwater. It was just like didn't have to put it into a case. Just straight up shot underwater as long as you're less than 50 meters. Like Bob's your uncle.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
It actually has an underwater mode that changes the colors and dehazes it and stuff so that the pictures look reasonable.
Yeah.
Seems like a perfect choice for this.
Awesome. It was so awesome. I'm like, do I need a tough TG7? The answer is yes, I do need a tough TG7, especially if we're going to keep going near water.
Yeah, if you do more trips like this, I think it would make perfect sense.
Yep. I like that for her camera, she has the floating wristband too.
Yeah, that also seems like a really useful part.
It's just
because then even if you dropped it in the water, you could probably retrieve it with like a boat hook or something, or somebody could jump in after it. Whereas like your phone, if you drop it in the water, it's just like that's gone now.
It's like for your point and shoot, you can optimize for durability and waterproof, or you can optimize for image quality. Mm-hmm. And you did one, she did the other.
Yeah, pretty much.
So the other thing with the GoPros, I did some like long form video of just like sailing. And what I found is that, we learned that like if you took those GoPro 11 Blacks and you put them like on a windshield in a car, they will they'll just overheat.
For sure.
And I was like, oh, it's like there's wind blowing over them, they're not going to overheat. Mm-hmm. Well, I like left them in the waterproof casing and rigged them up, and they overheated instantly.
Yeah, I think that's the problem with the waterproof casing. It probably doesn't happen if you're underwater, because then like you've got water up against the thing, so it's kind of has something to pull away some of that heat.
Right. No issues underwater, but what I found is like, we have to take these things out of the case if we're going to use them out, like not underwater.
Yeah, which is fine until you go through like a rain squall or something, and then you're having to take them in because you're getting too much water.
Pretty much. So I guess like to me, those are the biggest highlights, and then we can talk a little bit more of the stuff, but I've been just jabbering. Daniel, you brought the GR4, and this was like the moment for that camera, right? This is like, we're hanging out with friends, we're getting snapshots. Perfect situation.
Yeah.
This is the most you've used it because you got it like a week before we left.
Yep.
Talk me through the case. Talk me through what you shot. What did you think? How did it go?
Yeah. So,
and what film profile did you use, or color profile did you use the most?
So, like I had said before, I had gotten a Pelican case for it right before the trip. That's like barely bigger than the camera. I mean, it fits perfectly in there. And I got that because we didn't know how wet things were going to get. That camera's not weather sealed. It's very expensive.
Wet. Everything was wet the whole time.
And it was like the case was a good choice. I was happy with that. But I will say that it definitely felt compromised in terms of being able to use that camera the way you want to use it, because what's perfect about that camera is being able to have it in your pocket, just pull it out. But the problem is I was always concerned about being in the wet environments and stuff, and wearing like swim trunks that don't necessarily have like big pockets and stuff.
And slip right out.
I always had it in that Pelican case in my dry bag.
Right.
And so it adds so many steps if you want to take a photo, because you're like, well, I've got to like get this thing and like pull it out of the case and stuff. And so that really hurt the usability of it. And I took I took more pictures with my phone just because I did more often have my phone with me. But I really liked the pictures I got with it. You
got some really good ones.
Yeah. So I mostly used I like the negative film profile. There's a positive film that's okay, but I like the negative one better. And then there's like a cinema yellow and a cinema green.
Okay.
Cinema green works really well in cities with the lights, but cinema yellow kind of worked well out there.
Was that the one that was warmer shots, or were the ones you shared?
The warmer ones with negative film.
With a negative film.
Yeah.
I like that profile as well. It's like how do you describe it? Like most snapshots that we see now are HDR'd.
Yeah.
And
very like almost like true to life, vivid colors, that kind of thing.
Right. And so seeing highlights clip is like a thing of older formats. And I think that's one of the things that maybe appeal a little bit about old point and shoots that people kind of trend towards.
Yeah.
That's maybe just a guess or an opinion, but with the GR, where you in shooting in that negative format for assuming those photos that I saw, the highlights will clip.
Yeah.
And
exactly.
But like that's kind of a part of the aesthetic.
Yep.
And I really like the way that it rendered skin tones. All the pictures were very warm. And so I like the warmth. I like the way it rendered skin tones. And the highlight clipping wasn't harsh. Like it just kind of where it rolls off and then it just goes to white. It looked really good. And I don't know if you were purposely like overexposing those to get like a certain look.
I normally do overexpose with that camera.
But it was good. Looked really good.
I like it. It legitimately does feel like a very different look than I get with the iPhone.
Yeah.
And most of the time when I take photos, I want true to life colors. And so with this camera, I'm kind of taking the different approach of like, I want it to have a more stylized look.
But it's not overly stylized.
Yeah, it's not too much. But I mean, I feel pretty confident that with most photos, I could put a GR photo next to an iPhone photo and pick out which one's which.
Yeah.
Like you can tell that it's not as processed. You can tell that the colors just kind of like blend better. And all that was like, I'm very happy with all those aspects of it. I like the focal length.
It's an 18 millimeter lens.
Yeah, an APS-C. Because I also have the GR3X,
right,
which is it's a 26 millimeter APS-C, so it's like a 40 millimeter equivalent. And like we were saying earlier, I think for this trip the wider lens worked out really well because sometimes we were in closer quarters on the boat and stuff, but I mean other times it's just like what you're trying to get is a wide shot of like whatever scene.
Yeah, look at this scenery, look at this place, look at this boat.
Yeah.
I'm in a tight quarters. I'm taking groups of pictures of people who are less than, like if you're taking pictures of people who are within 10 feet of you, 18 millimeters on APS-C, which is like 27. It's like that 27 millimeter full frame equivalent.
Yeah.
It's like perfect. And then you want it to shoot some wide shots. It's still wide enough. Like it's not quite the 24 equivalent, but still wide enough that you can like get nice big sunsets or nice big vistas.
Yeah.
And so that 18 is kind of a sweet spot of like close and far.
Yeah.
I can see where the 26 millimeter version is maybe more appropriate for subject isolation.
Yeah.
But this specific trip was not that kind of shot.
Exactly. And it's a little frustrating that it's that way because it does make me feel like, I can kind of see like why having both of these focal lengths in that form factor camera is useful because there could be other situations I'd be taking an hour. I'm like, well, I kind of want that tighter lens.
Yeah. Well, I trend towards shooting on the 23, which is actually halfway in between. I love shooting on that 23 millimeter prime. For this trip, I surprised myself in how much I shot on the 16 to 55. I shot on that zoom way more than I shot on my prime.
So, do you know, were you mostly shooting wider with it or tighter with it?
It was in order to get the wide shots.
Okay.
I got a
so
few
you would have been
things-
pretty happy if you had the 16.
Yeah, pretty much. But the 16 isn't weather sealed. And so in order to get 16 in a weather sealed, you pretty much have to shoot on a zoom on it, Fuji. I don't think they replaced it, but maybe you consider a replace. Like they came out with the 18, the 23, and the 33 in the new versions that are weather sealed and linear motors. They never replaced, like the 33 seemed to replace the 35. The 23 was the 23.
Yeah.
And it seems like they replaced the 16 with the 18, but it's not on the wide end. That's not really a true replacement.
Right.
I could make the argument that the 33 is a full replacement for the 35. I cannot make the replacement that the 18 is a replacement for the 16.
Yeah. I mean, well, it's just percentage wise, 16 is a lot wider than 18.
It's so much tighter.
Yeah.
Like when we're talking full frame numbers, 24 to 27 is substantial. So anyway, to me, like 18 seemed perfect for this. Like that 18 mm lens on the GR4 seemed perfect for this situation.
I think it was a good choice. Oh, I was happy with it. Like I said, it just worked out that it's probably not the best camera to have around water, but in terms of as a travel camera to take on trips, definitely would use again.
So you've used the GR3. Now this is like the most time you spent with the GR4. The controls are different. How did you have any thoughts on the changes between the two cameras? Did you prefer this one? Were there things that annoyed you about it? What are your thoughts? Main thing being that like the thumb scroll wheel went away, and now you have the up down plus.
Yeah,
button.
I mean that's kind of whatever. I don't really care between those two things. Like you end up using that control to do the same thing, and so it's like whether it's a rocker or buttons, like I just don't really care about that much. I do feel like the GR4 focuses faster, and that is a nice improvement. The GR4 also has that cinema green and cinema yellow color profile, which those are not on the GR3.
But it does have the negative one?
It does have the negative,
okay.
Yeah.
Just making sure for whenever I buy that GR3X from you.
Yeah. Yeah, and the negative is what I use most, so like it's not a huge deal, but I wish they would add those color profiles to the older camera. Like image quality wise, I don't feel like there's that big of a difference. I think the GR4 is supposed to be a little better on noise performance.
Did it seem like it was maybe a stop? Because the GR3 photos were like, they don't look bad, but they were noisy.
It does seem like it was maybe a little less noisy. So like I think there's an improvement there, but I don't think it was. I mean, it's just like what everybody says about those two cameras. It's like the 4 is definitely better, but it's not. Like if you can get a 3 for a good price, it's probably still worth it. If you already have a 3, I would just keep the 3.
Like if you have a 3 and you're happy with the 26 millimeter lens and you don't know if you would want an 18, there's not enough to the 4 to make it worth the upgrade. Is that a fair statement?
That's what I would say. Well, and keep in mind, there's a GR3 that has the 18 millimeter lens. I just have a 3X that has the tighter lens.
Right.
So, definitely if you have a GR3 with the same focal length lens, like I just don't think there's enough reason to upgrade.
The autofocus isn't like that much of an improvement?
I didn't think so. I mean, but I was shooting different things this time because, it's a little hard to compare when you're shooting on like the wider lens. And
were you using the face detect stuff?
Not really. I just use like AF auto and, just kind of do it that way. Okay. I think on those cameras.
Like single or continuous?
Single.
Okay.
I think on those cameras, it's the face detect type stuff is fine, but like, if you're used to autofocus on a Sony or even like a Fuji or something, it's nowhere near as good or as fast as those because it just doesn't have the processing power.
Yeah, like if it's not like there's a switchover point where like for how good the XG3 was, I single point focus all the time.
Yeah.
And then when I got to an X-H2S and the X-T5, I use continuous with the tracking so that I can like set the track point, and then when I do focus and reframe, the track point stays on what I'm trying to focus on.
Yeah.
So that if like I change the focal plane distance when I reframed, I'm getting a sharper photo.
Right.
And like that works almost as good as I'd want it to on the Fuji. I kind of wish it was still a little better, but like it was like, oh, this is better enough that now, focus reframe wants to be continuous for me. Whereas whenever I jump back to something that's older, like an X-T3, it's about AF single focus reframe. And to me, what I'm hearing from you is like the GR4 is a AF single focus reframe kind of camera, not an AF continuous type camera.
I would not try what you're saying with the AFC on that camera. I need to figure out how to manual focus it. I think there's a way, but I'm not sure how you do that. Like I don't know.
Interesting.
I don't know if you like turn the lens or what you do, because right before this trip, I went to a concert and I took the GR4 and I was like, oh, it'd be kind of cool to get some, get some shots. And it took me a while to get it to work because I couldn't get it to focus. Like I was trying to autofocus it.
Yeah.
And I think the lighting was just too poor or something, but I couldn't get it to autofocus. And, I'm like at this event, so like I don't really want to be like fiddling with my camera the whole time. But I was trying to figure out like, how do I manual focus it? So I need to look up how to do that because I think like there's a manual focus setting in the camera. I just don't know like how you physically do it.
Press the macro adjust button, navigate to the manual focus option, and then use the rear dial with the plus minus button to adjust the focal distance.
Well, there you go. So you do it like electronically. I guess that makes sense.
Weird.
Yeah.
Interesting. Any concerns or issues with the non-tilting screen? Did that ever come up where you were like, boy, I wish I could tilt the screen?
Absolutely not. Didn't care one bit, especially with the wide lens. Because, with that, like your framing doesn't matter quite as much, but it's just the way you're using that camera.
You're just kind of like taking snapshots.
Yeah. I mean, like it powers on so fast that I feel like almost all the time it's like, pull it out of my pocket, power it on, take the picture, power it off. Pocket.
Yeah, you're not spending time on framing enough that you're like, oh, I need to adjust the tilt of the screen.
Yeah.
If you're adjusting the tilt of the screen, you are spending more time shooting that picture than what was intended.
I think so. I think if you're using, that camera, it should be for quick snapshots. And I mean, for somebody like us that has other cameras, like if I want to really like take my time and focus, I'm probably going to be using like the S9 or something.
So like, unless for some people, this could be their only camera. If they're like, this is, I'm taking pictures of my family. I just want like a nice camera.
Well, and I think plenty of people buy these like to do photography.
Yeah.
But most
of the
time it's going to be
it's
snapshot.
Either an accessory camera where like you don't want to bring your big rig and you want something to put in your pocket, or it's like, we just need a nice camera to take pictures of the family. And for either of those, maybe tilt screen is less important.
I think so. I mean, the trade-off like for the pocketability is like if they would have to make it any thicker to add a tilting screen, it would not be worth it.
Yeah, that makes sense to me. What about brightness? We were at the equator, Daniel, or near it.
I didn't take too many pictures in bright sunlight, so I don't know if I can really say. I haven't had that problem yet, but I don't think I've put that to the test enough to say.
Okay. Any other thoughts or takeaways from the trip as far as photography and where you're shooting and that sort of thing?
I mean, overall, like I think the main thing is if you're doing something like this, your thing about action cameras, I think, is valid. Having a truly waterproof camera feels like really what you want for something like this.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I mean, I think 100% if we were doing more of this type of trip, something like that Olympus TG7 would be the way to go.
Yeah, I would say like the Cato trip of like okay, we're going to go out the lake, going to bring a boat. Just being able to like take my gear and put it in something waterproof, like a dry bag or a waterproof bag or something. And then like knowing that like when I take this out, everything's going to be dry. I'm going to take the picture and then I can put it back safely. That was like good enough.
Yeah.
For sailing the British Virgin Islands and like going from, boat to dinghy to island and back and all this stuff. I did not bring my Fuji camera because I was so worried about like how it could get wet or it could get broken. And I was surprised with like how little I brought it and how for a lot of the things I was like, this is just too big to carry for what we're doing, and it's too heavy to carry for what we're doing.
Would you have rather had a different camera?
I think that in retrospect, if like knowing what I know now, buying a TG7 is like that would have been the perfect solution. Or doing what you did where you have a GR4 in a case. But like you said, it's like now there are steps to taking the picture.
I would have taken more pictures if I had had a camera that I didn't have to put in a case.
To me, it's like if I can have a camera that I know can get wet and I can just like have it on a wrist strap and it's like it's a tough camera and like it's built for this, boy, I would have like that would have been it. And it would have been perfect. And so to me, like TG7 was the best camera option. That like the GoPros and being able to stick them in a waterproof case was really clutch too. So like GoPro, TG7 were great for the sailing trip. I thought I got great pictures with XD5 for the pictures that I took.
Just on the boat.
Yeah, like there were some pictures that I'm really happy with.
Yeah.
But like could I've gotten those pictures with a GR3 and been equally happy? Yeah, almost certainly. So I think that for the sailing trip, I over provisioned on cameras and was really sad that I broke my Pentax 17. Yeah. And then for the Cato was probably could have gone farther. So
yeah, interesting how that works. Like you've really got to think about what opportunities am I going to get on this trip, and like how does that affect what I bring, and what is my risk tolerance for breaking gear? Which also changes if you use your gear for paid purposes as well. It's like, am I willing to risk this lens that I need for work or not?
It's the other thing to kind of like think about here is or to talk about a little bit is like that OM system TG7 camera is basically a TG6, and it's just like a 12 megapixel BSI, like 4x optical zoom, old, dumb, slow camera. And like what's cool about it is you can dunk it underwater and take a picture. No one like there's one more manufacturer that's making something, but it's not like a big brand name, and I can't even remember like the model. There are not too many cameras in this category of like point and shoot tough cams, and having like seen how cool this camera is to use and like the applications you can use it in, I'm a little shocked that there aren't. Like I can't buy a Canon version of this. Or
it is
something.
surprising that like Sony doesn't have really an equivalent.
Yeah, and so it's interesting to me. Like it's a really unique, interesting camera that when OM system ultimately like implodes, like does this line just go away?
Yeah, or does somebody else come?
Or does someone else come and fill the gap? And I kind of like now wish there was a little more competition in this tough camera market. Like it would be cool to have a GR like equivalent that is as tough.
For sure.
Like being able to shoot in APS-C. I would take like APS-C with a prime, call it 23, somewhere between 18 and 23 millimeter focal length that I can like take underwater and like can bump against a rock and it'd be fine. That would be super, super cool. Yeah. And that camera just doesn't exist.
Yeah. Yeah. It's interesting. Like there's so many choices out there and none of them totally fill that need.
Yeah. And I think that it's like, we're letting the action camera companies kind of like solve that as like, oh, if you want a camera for an extreme situation, you want it to be able to shoot video, you want it to be smaller, and like blah 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 blah.
Which is all true, but I just feel like the photos are so compromised.
The photos are compromised, and they're basically phone photos. Yeah. And like phone pictures are great, and like you can dunk an iPhone underwater, and like maybe that's the answer. Is like it's just your phone, but to me, it's like when it's just my phone. There's too much invested in that. There's too much risk.
Well, it's expensive for one thing, but it's also I kind of don't want to lose my only phone when I go on a trip.
Yeah, and so to me, it's like this tough thing has to be different.
Yeah,
and like you can take pictures with like a GoPro, and they're going to look like phone pictures, and like the TG7 is going to take 30% better photos than the GoPro. Like maybe that's worth it. I don't know, but I guess the market has moved towards action cams, and maybe that's fine. But to me, I think something's being missed here.
Yeah,
and that there could be a better version of the TG7, because when it came out, it was just like, it's just basically a rebranded version of the Olympus one, so they could put OM systems on it.
Yep.
And this camera is just kind of like old.
Yeah.
And there doesn't have like cool new stuff. And I don't know if there's ever going to be one that does.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah. Yeah, when you put it that way, it is kind of a shame.
I know. If Olympus comes out with a TG8 and it's actually better, sign me up.
Yeah.
Like, because apparently if we're going to keep doing stuff that involves water, I got to figure out a different camera solution.
Yeah. Yeah, because it seems like the XT5 just kind of wasn't really doing what you needed.
It was the wrong camera for this trip. For what we did, which was like, it's not a photography trip, and it's just fun with friends. The XT5 was just the wrong camera for that trip.
It's interesting.
Yeah, and like I've never felt like that before. I'm always like happy to have my Fuji camera because it's small and light and I can have it with me. And like I carried an XT3 across Europe and like, great. No regrets, no problems there. But for this trip, it was just like, this is too fragile and too bulky, and it is the wrong thing.
Huh.
So, I don't know. Oh, that was the other thing, Daniel. Okay, we can end on this because I know we've been going forever. And I'm like, it's 80% me yappering. But whenever I was at Cato, I was like, I shot with the Osmo, and I got some fun, cool video of like driving through the fog, like boating through the fog and stuff. Anyways, one of the guys was like, "Oh, what is that?" And I was like, "Oh, it's an Osmo Pocket 2." I'm like, "Oh, cool, yeah, no, I've always kind of wanted to get one of those. I like them. I think they're really neat. I'm just kind of like waiting for the 4, which is going to come out any day now." And I was like, "Well, that's weird. The 3 just came out like 2 months ago. Why would you be waiting for the 4? And I was like, that's kind of what I pretty much said that.
The 3 did not come out 2 months ago.
The 3 came out like 2 years ago.
Yeah.
3 came out so long ago.
Yep.
And I like went back and looked, I'm like, when did the 3 come out? And I was like, oh, holy cow. What? Daniel, I just like put my foot in my mouth.
Oh man.
And I'm over here like,
that's shameful.
I'm a camera podcaster, blah, blah, blah. I know everything about everything. And I apparently have no idea whenever the Osmo Pocket 3 came out. And it just, yeah.
You're never going to be able to show your face there again.
Boy, I lost all credibility.
Yeah.
I was very embarrassed with myself.
Yeah.
So, but that being said, when's the Osmo Pocket 4 coming out, man? That thing, like...
When it does, you can get one?
I'm like a big Osmo guy, right? So I'm just over here shooting with my pocket all the time.
It's so funny that this has happened. This has switched, because you used to think that was such a dumb camera. Now it's like the MVP of your trip.
It's the stupidest camera. Daniel, you can do a lot of cool stuff. You do a lot of fun stuff with a pocket. There's just fun little quirky cameras.
Oh man, this is a great storyline from the podcast.
Like the Osmo Pocket 3 got to be a little expensive, right? Like how much is a Pocket 3?
It did get more expensive. It has some really cool features, like being able to like flip the screen around and stuff.
It is still $800.
Yeah.
Yikes, man.
Yep. It's getting up there to where it's harder to want to use it in any kind of danger, camera danger situation.
So I have the little slide case for the Pocket 2, and you can put it in the case, you can put it in your pocket. It's weird to have to take it out of the little slide case.
Yeah, it does seem like a little awkward.
And recently, I guess it kind of the gimbal got bumped, and so the gimbal got bent down a little bit, and it kept getting stuck. And I found that I was like, oh, I have to kind of push the gimbal back up into position.
Huh.
And I'm like, this gimbal on this is kind of fragile. And I don't know if that's better as far as the Pocket 3. I know they made a lot of improvements with how it tucks in and being able to put it in your pocket.
Yeah.
That's the whole point, right? It's a gimbal in your pocket.
Yeah.
And so now I'm like, Pocket 4, what are they going to do to make that even better? Because I want to be able to just put it in my pocket and know the gimbal's not going to get damaged.
Sure.
And be able to take it out of my pocket and immediately start shooting.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm all in. Where's my Pocket 4? What's happening with that? Come on, DJI, let's see it happen.
That's it for the show today. Thanks for joining us, and if you liked it, tell a friend so they can check it out too. You can find out more about the show at www.cameragearpodcast.com, and you can find us on Twitter @CameraGearPod. We'll be back with more next week.